Have you ever noticed how your inner voice, the one that should be your greatest ally, can so often become your harshest critic? It's that ceaseless commentary whispering doubts into your mind, convincing you that you're not enough, that others are more capable, that you're somehow behind, broken, or unworthy. It questions your every move, rewrites your achievements as accidents, and amplifies every mistake into a narrative of failure. And if you're like most people, you don't just hear this voice, you believe it. You're not alone. This struggle is deeply human, and you're not the first to feel trapped inside your own mind. Over 2,500 years ago, in ancient India, a prince named Siddhartha Gautama sat beneath a Bodhi tree, seeking an end to this very suffering. What he discovered wasn't a distant, esoteric philosophy. It was a precise, revolutionary understanding of how the mind works and how we become enslaved by our own thoughts. He came to see that the mind, left unchecked, spins stories rooted in fear, craving, and illusion. And yet, within each of us lies the power to cut through those stories, to stop being ruled by the noise in our heads. What I'm about to share isn't just spiritual poetry or abstract wisdom. These are battle-tested teachings that have liberated millions across centuries. They're not about escaping life, but engaging with it more clearly, more compassionately, and more freely. Imagine this. Instead of fighting your thoughts, you begin to observe them. Instead of being pulled under by every wave of doubt, you stand firm like a mountain watching clouds pass by. You don't suppress your pain, you understand it. You don't chase happiness, you embody it, moment by moment. This path doesn't require you to become someone new. It invites you to see clearly who you've always been beneath the noise. And once you do, the way you experience every moment of your life begins to shift, not through force, but through presence, awareness, and a radical kind of compassion. It begins now with a single breath, and the decision to stop believing everything you think. The great illusion. Buddha's first revolutionary insight didn't come wrapped in mystical language or hidden behind rituals. It was piercingly simple, yet profoundly liberating. We suffer because we mistake our thoughts for reality. Let that settle in for a moment. Your mind is constantly narrating, commenting, judging, predicting, remembering, and over time, we come to believe this internal monologue as absolute truth. But here's the radical truth the Buddha uncovered. Thoughts are not facts. Imagine sitting in a movie theater, so absorbed in the film that you completely forget you're just watching a screen. Your heart races during the suspense, tears fall during the sadness, and you react as if every scene is actually happening. But it's not. It's light, sound, projection. This is how our thoughts work. They feel real. They seem urgent. They paint entire worlds of fear, failure, shame, regret, desire. But they are just mental projections flickering across the screen of awareness. They are stories, some helpful, many not, none permanent, and none by themselves define who you truly are. When your mind whispers, "I'm a failure," that's not some universal verdict handed down from the cosmos. It's not the voice of truth. It's just neural activity. It's just a pattern, a habit of thought shaped by past experiences, fears, and conditioning. When the voice in your head says, "I'll never be happy," it's not prophecy, it's programming. And here's where the true shift begins. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. You are the silent witness behind the noise. You are the space in which all these thoughts arise and into which they dissolve. This alone can change your entire relationship with suffering. Because once you realize that your thoughts are not the ultimate authority, they lose their power to control you. They no longer drag you into despair, self-doubt, or endless comparison. You don't have to argue with them. You don't have to fix them. You only need to recognize this is a thought, not the truth. And in that recognition, you return to a deeper truth, the stillness that watches. That stillness is not broken. It's not anxious. It's not lost. It's you, beneath the noise before the story. This insight is not just an idea. It's a doorway. And once you step through it, the entire landscape of your mind begins to shift, from chaos to clarity, from identification to liberation. The observer within. Buddhism reveals something quietly revolutionary, something most people never realize their entire lives. There's a part of you, that can watch your thoughts without being disturbed by them. It's not your opinions, not your beliefs, not your memories, your fears, or even your personality. It's the pure open awareness behind it all, what many Buddhist traditions call witness consciousness, or simply the observer. This presence doesn't argue with your thoughts. It doesn't panic when fear arises. It doesn't get swept up in anxiety, nor does it need to suppress anything. It just sees. Try this simple experiment. For the next 30 seconds, just sit in silence and watch your mind. Don't interfere. Don't try to concentrate. Don't judge. Just observe like you're watching clouds drift across the sky. What happens? You begin to notice thoughts bubble up, random memories, worries, judgments, plans. Some arrive with urgency, trying to pull you in, and yet they pass. One dissolves into another. None of them stay, none of them are you, but something is constant. The part of you watching all of this, the awareness that notices each thought come and go but remains unchanged by any of it. That's the real discovery. There is a still, spacious presence within you that remains calm, even when your mind is chaotic. It doesn't get caught in the story. It doesn't cling to any outcome. It simply is. This witnessing presence is not something you have to create. It's been with you all along. It's as natural as the sky. And your thoughts? They're just the weather, storms of fear, winds of doubt, moments of sunshine, passing clouds of memory, but none of them ever touch the sky itself. You are that sky. The more you rest in this witnessing awareness, the less power your thoughts have over you. You don't have to chase after the pleasant ones or fear the painful ones. You begin to see them for what they truly are, temporary, impersonal, and ultimately harmless, unless you grab onto them. This is the quiet power of Buddhist practice. Not to silence your thoughts, but to stop confusing yourself with them, to stop being lost in the movie and realize you're the screen. This shift isn't just philosophical, it's transformational. It opens a space of peace within you that no external circumstance can touch. And once you begin living from that space, even the most turbulent thoughts lose their ability to shake you. If this message resonates with you, and you're seeking more moments of peace and insight, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for daily reflections rooted in ancient wisdom and modern clarity. The paradox of resistance. Here's where most people get trapped, where the cycle of suffering silently intensifies. They try to fight their negative thoughts, to argue with them, suppress them, replace them. They wage war inside their own minds, hoping that if they just push hard enough, the darkness will disappear. But the Buddha discovered something deeply counterintuitive and profoundly liberating. What you resist persists. And not just persists, it returns with more force, more urgency, more weight. Think of your mind like a body of water. If you thrust your hands into it, trying to shove the water away, it rushes back. If you try to grasp it, it slips right through your fingers. But if you stop fighting, if you remain still, the water flows naturally around you, untroubled. Your thoughts are no different, especially the painful ones. The moment you label a thought as the enemy, I shouldn't be thinking this thought is ruining me, I need to stop feeling this way, you've already given it power. You've stepped into the ring, and now your mind is no longer just thinking, it's fighting. It becomes a battlefield, and you are both the soldier and the war. But here's the wisdom the Buddha offered instead. Don't resist the thought, witness it. Don't fuel it with fear. Let it pass through you like wind through trees. When a negative thought arises, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to argue with it. You certainly don't have to obey it. You simply acknowledge, there's that thought again. You notice it, feel its presence, and then, rather than clenching against it, you soften around it. You let it exist without giving it your energy. This act of non-resistance isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's what allows the mind to settle, like muddy water clearing when left undisturbed. The more you fight your inner storms, the longer they rage. But when you stop resisting, clarity returns. Peace arises. Not because you defeated your thoughts, but because you stopped fueling them. This is one of the most radical shifts Buddhism offers. You don't heal the mind by controlling it. You heal it by understanding it, by sitting beside your suffering like an old friend, curious, gentle, unafraid, by no longer needing every moment to feel good in order to be okay. And paradoxically, the moment you stop needing the pain to go away is often the moment it begins to fade. The art of allowing. Instead of waging war against your thoughts, Buddhism offers something far more radical and far more compassionate: complete acceptance of what is already here. Now let's be clear, this isn't passive surrender. It doesn't mean you agree with every painful thought that crosses your mind. It doesn't mean you give up or let your inner critic run wild. It means this: you stop feeding the fire. When a negative thought arises, "I'm not good enough. Nothing will ever change. Everyone else is better than me." You don't need to fight it. You don't need to argue, fix, or deny it. You simply let it be there, without panic, without resistance, without identification. And here's the secret. In that space of allowance, the thought begins to lose its grip. Instead of reacting with fear, try meeting your mind with gentle curiosity. "Ah, how interesting. My mind is creating worry thoughts again. That's a familiar storyline. I've heard this one before. Look at that. I'm having a self-critical thought right now. That's okay." Notice how this shifts everything. You're no longer inside the storm. You're observing it from a place of grounded stillness. You're no longer tangled in the drama. You're watching the mind do what minds do: generate content. Thoughts arise, thoughts pass. That's their nature. But you remain. Imagine yourself as a great mountain. Storms may swirl around your peaks, howling winds, lightning strikes, freezing rain. But the mountain itself doesn't flinch. It doesn't run from the weather. It doesn't need to stop the storm to be at peace. It simply endures, steady, unmoved, deeply rooted. This is the presence Buddhism calls you back to, not a mind without thoughts, but a mind that no longer fears them. Not a life without difficulty, but a self that is no longer defined by difficulty. Acceptance is not weakness, it's freedom. It's the strength to stay present with what is, without being consumed by it. It's the knowing that you don't have to like your thoughts to make peace with them. And here's the quiet miracle. When you stop needing your thoughts to change, they often begin to change on their own, not through force, but through the gentle power of presence. You can become the stillness beneath the storm, the mountain beneath the clouds, the awareness beneath the mind. That presence is always within you, right now, in this breath. The teaching of impermanence. One of Buddhism's most liberating and compassionate truths is also its simplest. Everything changes. Nothing, no matter how overwhelming, how painful, how permanent it seems, can escape the law of impermanence. This includes your thoughts. Yes, even the loud, relentless ones. Even the self-criticism that repeats like a broken record. Even the anxiety that wraps itself around your chest and whispers that it will never leave. It will pass. It always does. The Buddha saw this, not just as an abstract truth, but as a source of deep healing. Every mental state, no matter how dark, arises, reaches a peak, and fades. Just like a storm, just like the seasons, just like everything else in nature. Your thoughts are not fixed monuments carved in stone. They are more like clouds drifting across the sky, sometimes heavy and dark, sometimes light and scattered, but always in motion. Even your deepest fears carry within them the quiet seeds of their own dissolution. The next time you're caught in a wave of anxiety, depression, or self-doubt, pause, take a breath, and remember, this is not forever. This is not who I am. This is just a moment in motion. Start tuning in to the natural rhythm of your inner life. Notice how one moment of panic slowly gives way to a quieter one. How a harsh inner voice might soften or even fall silent for a time. How laughter can sneak in just minutes after tears. How, without effort, your mind shifts over and over again. Even your most persistent worries ebb and flow like the tides. They may return, but they are never truly fixed. They do not define you, they do not own you. This realization is not just comforting, it's transformational. Because once you truly see that your mind is always moving, always changing, you stop clinging to the highs and fearing the lows. You stop assuming that what you feel now is what you'll feel forever. Instead, you begin to rest in something deeper, something more stable than your thoughts, the awareness that watches them come and go, the vast stillness that remains untouched by the storm. This is one of the greatest gifts of Buddhist practice, not the promise of a mind free from all pain, but the wisdom to see pain as temporary, to witness its rising and falling without being pulled under, to ride the waves of the mind with steadiness, compassion, and trust. Because even the darkest night gives way to dawn, even the heaviest storm passes, and even now, in this very moment, something within you is already shifting. The practice of gentle inquiry. When a negative thought captures your attention, Buddhist practice suggests approaching it like a scientist examining a specimen. Instead of immediately believing or rejecting it, ask gentle questions. Is this thought serving me right now? What would happen if I didn't take this thought so seriously? Where did I first learn to think this way? Cultivating the wise heart. Buddhism doesn't just teach us to observe thoughts neutrally, it encourages us to meet them with compassion. When you notice harsh self-criticism arising, try speaking to yourself as you would to a beloved friend going through the same struggle. Place a hand on your heart and offer yourself these words. This is a moment of difficulty. May I be gentle with myself. May I remember that I am worthy of love and understanding. This practice of self-compassion creates an inner environment where negative thoughts lose their power to wound you. The community of practice. Buddha emphasized that transformation happens not just in isolation but within supportive relationships. Your negative thoughts often thrive in secrecy, gaining power from hiding in the shadows of your private experience. Consider sharing your struggles with trusted friends, joining a meditation group, or working with a therapist who understands contemplative approaches. When we speak our inner experiences aloud, they often lose their mysterious power over us. Beyond positive thinking, Buddhism offers something far more profound than merely replacing negative thoughts with positive ones. It teaches us to rest in the awareness that holds all thoughts, pleasant and unpleasant alike, with equal spaciousness. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent or passive. Rather, it means discovering a source of well-being that doesn't depend on having the right thoughts. True freedom comes not from controlling your mental content, but from recognizing your essential nature as the awareness in which all thoughts arise and pass away. The invitation to freedom. As our exploration draws to a close, remember that these aren't just comforting ideas, they're invitations to direct experience. The freedom from negative thinking that Buddha discovered isn't reserved for ancient mystics or meditation masters. It's your birthright as a conscious being. Every time you remember to observe rather than immediately believe your thoughts, you step into this freedom. Every moment you meet your inner experience with compassion rather than judgment, you embody the wisdom that has transformed lives for millennia. Your negative thoughts aren't evidence of your weakness, they're opportunities to practice awakening. Each difficult mental moment is a chance to remember who you really are. Not the temporary visitor of thoughts, but the permanent resident of awareness itself. The path to mental freedom isn't about perfecting your thoughts. It's about discovering the perfect peace that's always been here, patiently waiting beneath the surface of your thinking mind. This peace is your true home, and you can return to it any time you remember to simply be aware. In this awareness, every thought becomes workable, every moment becomes sacred, and the mind that once seemed like a prison reveals itself as the doorway to boundless freedom.